because I'll never forget this. I've gone on a quick tangent real quick. I got recognized in the supermarket the other day because of the Sky Sweat Room. This guy came up to me and he was, I had my headphones on. And he's like this. He's like that. And I'm like, what is he doing?
Are you good?
And I took off my headphones and he goes, wait, I seen you. You're the Street Fighter guy. He said, you were on Sky the other day. I said, yes. I said, I guess. And then he said, yeah, it's like, I'm really into esports. I love this stuff. I've been trying to explain to my mum. He said, wait, let me get my mum. So I just stood there for about 10 minutes and he comes back with his mum. He said, Mum, he said, he does what I want to do. She's like, what are you talking about? And then he finally said, I don't know how to explain it, but he can do it. So she looked at me and I said, right.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I've got to do the elevator pitch real quick.
Hello, welcome once again to In the Lobby here at the Guild HQ in London. And we have got a very special guest who is also from London, a Street Fighter extraordinaire, player, fighter, commentator. This man does it all. Jammerz, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you both for having me on it. It's pretty surprising to get a call to come on here. But hey, I'm always here to chat some waffle,
Good.
have some fun.
We love that. We love that. And especially we like learning. I feel like we have a lot of people on this podcast sometimes who aren't necessarily from, well, not games I usually cover anyway, but it's always so interesting to hear from people from completely different games. And every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I don't know a lot about this game. What am I going to do? But then I feel like the guest always just lets me know everything I need to know and talks so fluently about it that it's fantastic.
I think, all right, put it like this. The more you learn, the less you know.
Why is that?
Because anything you learn, you realize how much you don't know about the world, how many small pockets of communities, delicacies, places in the world that you just don't know. And it's like, okay, you're kind of more invigorated to learn more.
Yeah.
So it's like, you see it as something you learn something new every day. So that's how I see it.
That is very true, yeah. And I always go back home with like a feeling of that I want to get my foot in the door with whatever that thing is or whatever that game is. So we had one recently with Halo.
Yes.
And after that, I was like, do you know what? It actually made me want to go home and play and like try or at least do some more research into the community or what kind of competitions happen, stuff like that. So it's always really good to have some different perspectives and like learn new things for sure.
Jammerz, when it comes to Guild, we've seen you before in our sweat room that we did. You were a competitor. You didn't go on to win it. But you've gone on to have amazing success. I want to talk about your involvement with the game as it stands right now.
Talk to me, please.
But first, for anybody who doesn't know you, about you, just give us a bit of a run through of your journey in the world of gaming.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so first of all, my name is Jammerz. I didn't give myself that name. When I studied business studies back in secondary school, my teacher gave me that name.
Oh, yeah?
Because my real name is Jamil, Jamil. He called up my name on the register and he looked at me for like 3 seconds. He said, like, you're Jammerz from now on. And I've never, ever changed the name. This was like back in 2009.
Did you like it from the get-go, yeah?
Yeah, it was a bit like weird. But I was like, that's kind of like a very generic name. But then when I thought about it, I said, I don't think I can come up with anything better than that. So we'll just stick with that. When it comes to gaming, I'll give you the cliche answer. I've been playing ever since I was a kid. I love them. I gravitate towards them and tried all different sorts of things. I kind of bounced around the genres from driving to fighting to platforms to football games, back to fighting games and so on. But I would say I didn't take anything seriously regarding like gaming until probably 2012 when I realized that, there's communities that take this seriously. Yeah. There's a community that go and travel and do certain things. And I've just been in the fighting game community for about 12 years now. Yeah. Just been involved, just playing fighting games, traveling, so on and so forth. So it's been a pretty interesting journey. Still a gamer to this day. Enjoying playing video games like as much as I possibly can because you learn just different things and different perspectives that a lot of people might not understand, and it's a form of entertainment that I don't see anything else topping these days. So it's been really fun playing, and it's taken me to places I didn't think gaming would ever do that. And it's always fun telling your parents that. So.
I think that surprises everyone as well, Harrie, doesn't it? Like, I know that from our perspective as well, people underestimate the travel that comes with it. Even, on a professional level, or if you want to just be part of a community, you find yourself going here, there, and everywhere and meeting so many amazing people.
I think that's something that's happened more so in the past. I guess I even want to say like 10 years, I suppose, really. Yeah. And you wouldn't think about it because a lot of people that only know about kind of casual gaming won't have any idea what esports is. I'd been gaming for a really long time before I ever first heard the word esports, and I had no idea. And then I met people like you. I didn't really watch any esports competitions beforehand. Then I met people like you. I was like, okay, actually he's been this country, this country, this country, doing all these different things, doing all these different presenting jobs, like all that kind of stuff. But what I was going to say, is interesting that you say about like your kind of gaming path up until you started this more as a job. I know when we had, going back to the Halo person we had on as well, a big Halo gamer before they got into doing it professionally. You are probably one of the people I know that like I don't know about you playing like Six Siege or anything like that before you went on to being massively involved in the esport. Everyone else seems to come from a place of, oh, I played this game for a long time and you want to go into that as a job. Do you find that with most of the people you know or yourself that you came from it as like, I love this game, play it a lot, so I'm going to go into the kind of professional side of it, whether it be commentating, casting?
You know, you never really see it like that because it's kind of like the question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I can't tell you that. Yeah. And it's like, because first of all, I used to play a lot of Call of Duty and FIFA. So I was a generic teenage boy just playing the stuff. And I was pretty decent at Call of Duty by the end. When I left high school, I was like the best Call of Duty player by the time I left high school because nobody taught me how to play it. So I just figured it out myself and said, this is fun. But eventually it got boring. So a friend introduced me to fighting games. And then he told me like, there's tournaments, there's communities. And me and a few of the guys were at my house. We laughed at him because we're like, you're lying. No one plays these games. It's not as serious as Call of Duty. It's not as serious as FIFA. Let's just go back and do Halo Forge mode. Like, let's just go back to what we're generically doing. Then he showed me this one huge tournament, and it was like, oh, people take this seriously.
Sure.
And then it's like, right, you get motivated to play the game, and then you get more serious about it. You play it a bit more, and you're like, maybe I could be like pretty good at this or get involved. And then I went to one event at EGX 2030. I think this was when it was still in Earl's Court.
Okay.
So I went there and I entered a tournament and I was like, this is fun. Like, I want to be part of this. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I just said, this is cool. And I just want to be part of this some way, shape or form. And I've just been at it ever since, just attending the events, showing my face regularly, playing as well, talking about it. And then it's kind of just sprouted into this, I suppose.
When did you...
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So when did you realize you were good at the game? Like...
So
you start winning stuff.
Do you know, it's funny when you bring that up, right? So I can be the best casual player in the room.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. When it gets to the serious level, it's like, okay, what are they sacrificing? How many hours are they devoting? And it's like, I don't want to take it that seriously that it kind of robs the enjoyment out of this.
Yeah.
Now, I got pretty decent, and I went to an event back in 2016, 2017 in Birmingham. It was called Versus Fighting. And I can play video games, but I don't like boast about, I can play video games. And in the fighting game community, you kind of have to earn your stripes with a lot of things you have to do in life. So I beat one of the best players in the world at the time with his own character at the game. But people didn't realize I taught him how to play that character. But people knew him for his status over me. Yeah. When I beat him, everyone was like, oh man, you did great, fantastic. Maybe you should pursue this a bit more. And I said, I don't feel good. Like this feels way too stressful. So at that point I said, I don't think competitive gaming is for me. I can participate here and there, but I don't need that excess pressure to perform. Because the burden of performance on players, sports athletes, and it's insane when they.
Well, it's something I have to explain to a lot of people from outside of the industry, if you want to call it that, of that upper echelon that you have to break through and what you have to do and sacrifice to be on that level. Whether it's 100%. A fighting game, whether it's FIFA, whether it's Call of Duty, Halo, you name it.
It is like a full-time job.
Oh, there's like a whole other just bracket.
Yeah.
But you can't. It's like there's concepts. Going back to when you said like we travel around the world for this stuff. It's explaining to an older generation. It's like, right, okay, so what do you do for work? Oh, I talk about video games, I travel, so on and so forth. They don't get that part. What you do is, right, my job takes me to different parts of the States, different parts of Europe, and they're like, oh, I get that part. Yeah. So he's flying across the globe and work's paying for the accommodation, the event, and then you just talk about, right, I work in events, not event management, and then they kind of get that. And then they go, okay, specifically show me. Then that's when you whip out the phone and you show them. It's like, oh, so you do what they do in the football, the NBA, and then they get it.
It's fascinating that. That's what I find the most. Like, so I can't talk about it enough. Like, even our cameraman Junior here, he's heard me talk about it all week. The Six Invitational in Brazil that I've just done, right? And I can tell somebody about it and they'll go, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And then I'll say, no, you don't understand. Let me show you a video.
Yeah.
10,000 Brazilians in a stadium, sold out, you know, the loudest thing I've ever heard about. And then they still can't compute it as like being a thing.
If you go back 10, 12 years ago, it was just about coming through, and phones aren't as good as they were now. And it's like, okay, I can explain it to you, but if there's no visual concept, imagine writing that in an article, and it just makes zero sense. In one ear and out the other. And I just don't understand any of this. This isn't the football. This isn't the basketball. I just don't understand this. And then it's like, okay, cool. It's like, okay, clearly 10,000 people have come to this one place to enjoy something. All right, I get that. And then the more mainstream it becomes, the more frequent, because usually it's the frequency of things. You see football every weekend. They're just like, okay, it's just guys kicking the football around. But it's like, oh, but you get it. Thousands, millions.
Because it's existed and it's been part of the mainstream for so long.
This is still in like its infancy stages. Absolutely. If you really think about it. We've been doing it for 5 years to a decade, a little bit longer. But if you technically look at it, it's not even half a century old. And it's like, all right, people still aren't quite coming around to it. And thankfully, we have a generation younger than us that they've seen it and they want to get involved in this. Because I'll never forget this. I've gone on a quick tangent real quick. I got recognized in the supermarket the other day because of the Sky Sweat Room. This guy came up to me and I had my headphones on. He's like this. He's like that. And I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Are you good?
And I took off my headphones and he goes, wait, I seen you. You're the Street Fighter guy. He said, you were on Sky the other day. I said, yes. I said, I guess. And he said, yeah, it's like, I'm really into esports. I love this stuff. I've been trying to explain to my mum. He said, wait, let me get my mum. So I just stood there for about 10 minutes and he comes back with his mum. He said, Mum, he does what I want to do. She's like, what are you talking about? And then he finally said, I don't know how to explain it, but he can do it. So she looked at me and I said, right.
That's a lot of pressure.
I've got to do the elevator pitch real quick. And I said, right, your son's probably been into something that is very difficult for parents to understand. And I listed all the things that it does and where it takes. And she said, oh, that's really fascinating. I said, kids these days are into this stuff. And I'm not going to say it's like a super viable career, but it's like, it's an option that will take you places that your regular office job probably won't take you. And it's like, it's hard to convince people.
But not everyone can do it. That's the thing. Just like,
do you know what it is, right? Everyone can, but not anyone can.
Correct.
That's why you all have the opportunity. You all have the opportunity to do it.
That's it.
But who makes it to the creme de la creme, who makes it to the top, that's different, because then that involves public speaking, really doing your research, and they should have hammered that into your head in university.
For sure.
All this stuff. And it's like, right, it's not as easy as people think. That's why I think a lot of this stuff has got to be trial by fire. Give them a go. Let them have 6 months to a year to
responsibly.
Yeah. Is this for me? If it's not, I tried.
I get that. You wouldn't, you know, for example, if you wanted to be a musician or you wanted to be a professional footballer or whatever it is, the initial support from the parents would always be, go for it.
That's probably the biggest boost you can get if your parents are like...
If they back it. But then there needs to come a point as a parent where if you think, this maybe isn't working, you can push a little bit in separate directions, make sure you got a backup plan, whatever else. But I think having that could have changed that kid's life, meeting someone like you who can make that elevator pitch.
You never know where he might be going.
That's it.
And I think that's kind of similarly the case for a lot of professions, like you said, people that want to do football, people. But nowadays I'm seeing it's definitely more a thing of everyone wants to be a content creator or everybody wants to be an esports professional. So much so there's even like university courses being taught now about esports and stuff like that. I know some universities have it. And I was just like, it's really interesting because they don't teach you about like taxes or money or anything like that in schools, but they're now teaching people about how to like get into esports. And I think it is a really good thing because it's becoming such a massive industry. Like it's becoming in some ways bigger than TV and in some ways bigger than music and movies and stuff like that. So I think it's awesome. But I do think what you said is right. There has to be a point where like you want to give it a go and you want to try it out, but there needs to be someone in your life to be like, okay, maybe have a backup plan, or maybe you should try this on the side of doing something else. And if they're really showing like that they're really good at it, then push them into it.
I see more people get things through pure determination than anything else. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to swear on camera, but it's like, clearly you give a damn about this. So it's like, right. And one of the things, I was actually speaking to someone about this yesterday, having a solid support system will take you so far in life, especially if they can see the potential as where this can go. And then sometimes you might need someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, maybe this isn't for you, right? you can still enjoy it as a passion, as a hobby, but taking it full-blown career, it might not be the path for you. I know that sounds like a negative Nancy, but some people do need to hear that from the right people, not just anyone.
Yeah, I agree. And
but also there's more ways of, sorry to cut you off.
No.
There's more ways of getting into it. Like you said, not just necessarily being a professional player, but there's so many jobs around it that you can do as well. Like presenting, commentating, things like that. Like, did you ever want to be like a professional esports player before you started working in the esports industry?
No, that's the thing. It's about figuring out as you go along, and like whichever avenues open up for you, if you think you fancy it, you pursue that. I just think one of the fascinating things for me is like what you said about the advice of maybe don't do this, maybe give this a miss here or there. It's about having that ability as an individual to go, right, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I want an Instagram following, or I want everybody to know who I am? Or am I doing it because I love it? And I think those who pursue it, like you said, out of passion and love are the ones who can eventually get somewhere.
But you know what that is? That's self-awareness.
Yeah.
Some people are not real with themselves. Or should I say, a lot of people aren't real with themselves. I speak to other talent, other commentators about what we do, and it's like, I'll have people come and say, like, Jammerz, like, I really want to be a commentator. And I'm like, okay, so just picture me real quick your end goal. Like, what do you mean? I said, what event do you see yourself doing? And then they'll say, I want to do the finals. Yeah. I was like, or I say, do you want to do this event, or do you want to commentate the game? I want to commentate the game. So I suggest smaller events, more regular events. Like, no, I want to do the big stuff. I said, oh, so you want the 15 minutes of fame then? Yeah. Then I'm going to give you different advice. I'll give you the reality of things, and I'll give you different advice, because commentating a game, like, there's a plethora of options that you can do for almost any game. There's somewhere someone doing something on a game, you can talk about it. Yeah. But a lot of people see the glamour and glitz and go, I want to be on camera. I want to be the host. And I was like, right, that's a different kettle of fish. And that takes a couple of years. And if I had someone tell me 7 years ago, it's like, yo, just grind at this for 7 years and you'll reap the rewards later, you would have a different mentality than, as you said, figuring out along the way. Yeah. People don't have that time to figure it out.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because time is money. Yeah. Things go by. You got to move on with reality. And it's like, if more people just had the time to go, right, let me just focus purely on this, a lot of people's mentality would be different towards this stuff.
So I just want to say one last point, because I think this for me is like a real a way that I think it's you can visualize why there's such a hunger for young people to do it. There's the obvious reasons. And then, like, going back to Brazil, sold out crowd, 5 lads in the middle, raising the trophy at the end, confetti falling down. You're all watching them. Crazy. And they've all just won 2 mil, whatever it is. You can't blame these. It's like the old football days. You watch Ronaldo score a goal. You're like, I want to do that. It's just the same thing. It's just
that's completely fine.
You see it in front of you, and you're like, I want to do that. Yeah. But it's about having the awareness of that all starts probably in a little cupboard somewhere with a PC, and you've got to figure out along the way. You can't jump from A to Z like that. But coming back to you in your travel, I know you've done quite a bit recently. Am I right in thinking you've just got back from LA?
Yes. Funny story. I got a message from Chloe the day after I landed in Hollywood. Said, hey, we do this podcast.
All right, can we just run that back? I got a message from Chloe works at Guild. This man gets a message. Do you want to come on our podcast? The day after I landed in Hollywood. That's living, baby.
No, do you know what? I'm glad you bring that up, because when I talk to people now, it's like I live things through my own lens. Yeah. And then he taps me on the shoulder and he says, Jammerz, do you even understand the language you're using right now? I was like, what do you mean? He said, you're flying somewhere else, talking about this before you do something big. He's like, do you not understand you weren't talking like this 4 years ago? Yeah. So I have a lot of people that kind of keep me grounded, which is fantastic. But Chloe messaged me the day after I landed, and she said, hey, we do this podcast with Guild, and it's like, do you want to like come on the podcast tomorrow? And I was like, yeah. I said I could fly back 11 hours, feature on the podcast, and then come back. But I don't think that's a good idea. So I basically just explained. I said, right, I've literally just landed in Hollywood. Yeah. I'm not back until the 27th of February. So we'll try and sort something out after that. And then I thought, no, this is pretty fun. It's a good opportunity to come through, because it allows people to just understand. It's like, right, what I'm doing is a luxury. I remember one day that I was going somewhere with my dad, and I'm a Londoner. We complain about almost anything.
Whereabouts in London?
West London. Okay. So I was complaining about something. I can't even remember what it was. My dad said, Jamil, he said, look around you. And he said, how many people are doing exactly what they want to do. And I looked and I said, and then he said, you are probably the only one here that's doing what they want to do. Right? And he said, cherish it. Don't take the mick out of it and get that opportunity when you can. And he said, especially when you're traveling, I know traveling is exhausting, but it's like, just understand, it's like you're traveling to go and enjoy something. Some people travel to something they don't even want to do.
Yeah.
So when the fact that I get to travel to all these different places is insane, because some countries I never even imagined going. I wouldn't go there on holiday, but now I'm here talking about a video game I'm passionate about.
I'm being paid for it.
when you put it all together, and
Gives you a buzz, doesn't it? It does though, doesn't it?
It does,
and it's like you want to, once you like the position you're in, it's like, right, how do we keep this?
For
How do we
sure.
keep
That
doing this
brings
for
its
as long?
own big bag of anxiety, that comes with it. But my way of always being able to handle that and deal with it is, if this ends tomorrow, which is, it's easier said than done, I'm cool with it. I'm very much...
You had a good run.
Yeah, I'm very much in a perspective where I go, not many people from, my city up north, especially from my school or whatever, ended up doing this. So I always think, I made that happen, with help from people around me and whatever else. But I did it. And, if that's where the cookie crumbles, then I can always look back at that and say I did it.
Good run.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's a big difference between generations as well. And we've spoke about this so many times in the past. It's like, at our age, I think it's something that we find so much easier to be like, oh my God, I have this incredible job. Like I'm living like something that's a dream. I'm doing a job that I love, which your dad is so right. Like you look around you and so many people aren't doing what they love.
It's not easy to do what you love. And it's not always possible either.
And we find that so many like young players that come into the scene, like because they're so young and they're good at a game, then they've got into this pro team or whatever, that it's just like easy
It's not bells and
for
whistles.
them. And some of them, I think we've found like a big difference sometimes is like our age, we appreciate and we realize how lucky we are. Whereas now younger kids getting into gaming and so easily, a lot of them becoming like pros, or at least putting in positions of being able to become professionals at it. They probably don't yet have that understanding and appreciation for actually what they're doing is incredible.
Because it's a part of, if I get like realistic here, it's a part of like growing up for them. So it's already there. It's
Exactly.
Like, for a lot of stuff that we done, we were in the transition phase.
Yeah.
The iPhones, YouTube, all that jazz. These guys, it's like, it's already there.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is
Because they're talented and
I
they
find
worked
that
hard.
so crazy.
But there wasn't the grind, the longer grind, the traditional. Yeah, because I don't want to take anything away from these young guys and girls that are playing at a high level and getting paid well or whatever. But it's like, it's a different journey if you get it earlier than later.
Yeah.
Well, the thing we got to give credit for, especially people of our generation, is...
I love how you guys keep saying our generation, by the way. I appreciate you guys.
You're not that much older than me.
I would say it's when you can identify talent for esports.
For sure.
Because it's like, you've done it yourself, you're on the come up and you grind yourself. No one really said, oh, you have a knack for this. They might say you have a knack for presenting or doing X, Y, and Z, but it's like, oh, okay, there's a good player here. We need to nurture this person and bring him into this world.
For sure.
Obviously, you mentioned before, gamers and money are like oil and water. They do not go together. And
They do not.
I have heard some stories about people.
I've seen some stories unfold. So.
And it's insane. But then once you get them in this path and say, hey, this is fun, but there's a lot of stuff that's like you need time and management to do this properly. It's a very good industry to flourish in, I feel. So
It is. And I guess in a way, like obviously I have that same thing, just being a content creator, I know that at some point that path is going to come to an end for me. And I think it's sometimes even more volatile for a lot of pros, because pros have like at least a lot of them I see, they have a very small window.
Absolutely.
And so they're making all this money and they're thinking, oh great, this is me set for life now. And to be fair, for a lot of them, it is probably setting them up
with good parents, for sure.
life.
well,
But also, it's so important to have that person there in your life to say, okay, look, this might not last forever. You need to be very careful what you do with this money, what you save it into, and also just looking at your future prospects. But one question I wanted to ask is, you said about spotting a good professional. As someone not from the esports industry, I always find that it's like scouting for musical talent on YouTube or something. When you're scouting for musical talent on YouTube, you see someone that sings good or plays an instrument really well, you're like, oh, great, that person. Kind of like how Justin Bieber started with his fame. How do you spot a professional in the esports industry, or at least like in a video game? Is it just literally they are a good player, so I think they will make a good professional? Or is there other elements to it? Like, do they keep cool? Are they going to absolutely lose their head at this or that? is so interesting to me because I don't know how is a professional picked?
If I was to give general examples, it's either are you the talk of the town? So what's the 4-1-1 with this player? Consistent results, of course. It's like, have you had just like a one-trick pony, or do I see you getting consistently second place every so often? There'll also be recommendations. Again, it's like, hey, I think this guy's good. He might have a 2-year window, but we can turn this guy into something big and then go beyond just competing. So it could be several factors, but it's mainly come to the events, show out, and then if you get, it goes back to what I was saying before, earn your stripes. If the big boys are saying, I think this guy's good, then word just spreads real quick.
Okay.
And then you may get a call from someone, you may not. But if you make a splash at a huge event, then the work does itself for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It might not be as black and white for everyone, but it's like, because we've just had an event happen yesterday called the Red Bull Kumite in New York. And some people which are invited there, they're not sponsored. It's the first time a lot of people are hearing about these guys. And they made a splash in one way or another.
That event looked crazy.
It was insane. And the Red Bull Kumite goes different parts of the world.
Red Bull, right? So I've been looking up for work. Sorry to jump in on you
No,
there.
go for it. Please,
Sorry.
please.
I just want to give a shout out to Red Bull. And this isn't because I work with them or anything else. It's because they go above and beyond for these events, right? And they don't just do the major titles and the biggest of the big titles. But I'm watching a video the other day, and you got some people playing Street Fighter on the screen in Times Square. Did you see that?
Yeah, they actually set that up. I don't know how much money that costs, but they set that up, and it's like, we can use Red Bull as the example, but it's people who like care.
It is.
Not about just the metrics and the financial side. It's like, look, I think this is cool. I want everybody else to kind of enjoy this and
Absolutely.
see why I enjoy this.
For sure.
Which is probably why you're so good at what you do, and you as well. It's like, look, I enjoy this. Come and enjoy it with me.
That's the mission statement for me for every gig, and I think I'm sure it is for you when you're commentating, right? You're casting. It's not about, oh, how good can I sound when I'm doing this, whatever. It's about, hey, I want you watching this at home or here in the arena, whatever it is, to feel like I feel about this, which is I'm buzzing.
Because people hear passion more than anything.
Sure.
They're just like, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. He's making noise, he's animated, he's getting super technical. It's like, okay, so like, what's he so engrossed in? Let me try to understand this. And when you do, it's like, okay, I get it now. That's why these people are so passionate. So it's just brilliant to be part of this stuff, honestly.
So obviously you're an incredible speaker. We've learned that real quick here.
Oh, thank you.
You speak very passionately and charismatically, yeah. And that obviously goes hand in hand with being an on-screen talent or a voice of the action. When did you start casting? When did that start coming about?
So I've been doing it for 10 years now. I would say it was 3 years voluntarily, just working with a small crew and just going to these events, social gatherings, so on and so forth. And I'd say things kind of like went professional when we had a gig at Gfinity, which used to be in a Fulham Broadway in the cinema. They used to have, they done the Gfinity Elite series, so they had several games part of it. So they had Street Fighter 5, they had Counter-Strike, Rocket League, and something else I can't remember. But the Gfinity crew loved the Street Fighter guys. How the personalities, how charismatic we are, just the games.
Did you ever meet Amanda at Gfinity?
Yes, Amanda works at Red Bull now.
Yeah, she does.
So we bumped into, just again, another tangent, Red Bull done an event called The Pit for Tekken 8. I came in.
That was just around the corner, right?
Yeah.
It's Red Bull's field.
I literally came in and I saw this woman. I said, I've seen her before. I can't remember where.
Brilliant.
And then she came to his Jammerz. I said, oh, it's Amanda. Because Amanda, the first day I worked with Amanda, she literally went to go and find me to just say, like, I love what you do. You're brilliant. Can't wait to see you next week. But she is fantastic at what she does. And her vision, her vision at what she wants to do with fighting games or video games in general. And she wears a heart on her sleeve. Like, I can see it. When she's down about something that she didn't get, she was like, right, how do we get that next time? Yeah. And she's like, right, here's the vision I have. And when we were talking about the Red Bull Kumite in New York, she said, I really wanted this team to do Red Bull Kumite in New York, but we're gonna fight for the next one. I said, look, the drive's already there. And she's fantastic at what she does. I think she used to work for
Gfinity.
Gfinity, no, before that. I think she used to work in the football.
Yeah, she did work in football. So we're talking a lot about Amanda here, but she's got her own. So she,
Amanda fan page.
She's got her own.
I love this.
Shout out to Amanda. She's got her own company. It's called Hang Loose Media. That they're working with Red Bull. We did a big event in Tokyo at the end of last year for a Valorant event together, and it was just the way that she managed 2 different broadcasts with her team simultaneously. She's brilliant. But you got to shout out the heroes in esports that make all this happen.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying. Sorry, Gfinity I think is when it flipped into something really professional, because Amanda managed to get us on the BBC iPlayer, and some people from my high school said, I saw you on the iPlayer the other day, and I was like, go on. And then they said, oh, you were playing something? I said, yeah, I've been doing this for a little while, and I catch up with them from high school, and then I tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the professional standpoint, like things just changed drastically. It's like when people reach out to you and tell you the logistics of how they want to do it. Obviously, with this kind of work, you have to, there's a lot of, how do I explain it? You lead the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So people would get me in the right place and they say, right, what you do with that is no longer my concern. And that's when it leads into discipline, independence. And it's like, okay, the more gigs you have and the more you enjoy it and you want to improve, you want to keep at doing this. So when it kind of turned professional, I was just like, okay, let's keep active and let's keep doing this. And I really enjoyed the GFIN Elite Series along other things we do, because we did the Capcom Pro Tour, CPT for short. There'd be other invitationals we work with. And at that point, you really have to try and put your ego aside and then go, right, where can I improve? How can I articulate myself better here? How do we develop the knowledge? And then going back to what we were saying, it's like, right, how do I make people, first and foremost, see why I enjoy this game?
Yeah.
Now, I will be real with you. I can count probably about 9 times I just wanted to leave. And it's usually, it's not the job itself. It's people you work with. It's the response you get from online, because again, once you put yourself on social media, you're in the firing range for anyone.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I'd probably say this is one of the biggest industries where you can develop some sort of backbone, which is, it's insane to even say that. But there's times I just wanted to walk away, but my dad kept me back in it. My dad's ex-girlfriend at the time, she said, when I told her once, I said, like, I don't think, like, I've done this for 4 years now, I don't think this is going anywhere. She said, Jamil, why are you going to quit if you haven't even done anything yet? And I was like, whoa. Like, that was literally a haymaker in the face. And I was like, okay, we'll stick with this a little bit longer. And as you do that, more opportunities, more people that are, like, above you in this kind of line of work, they go, right, there's potential here. Let's shift him in the right areas, give him the right frame of mind, the right advice, and you continue it. And that's what's kind of helped shape where I am today. So I'm appreciative to everyone that's helped and the opportunities that have come my way, because some of them have been super accidental.
Yeah.
But this goes back to when you're given it,
figure it out and
don't embarrass yourself. Yeah. Like, please don't embarrass yourself.
And if you do, but as long as it's not for the wrong reasons, you know, if you embarrass yourself for the right reasons, like make a slip up or whatever else, don't punish yourself for it. You know?
Yeah. No, I can think of one occasion when I did an event. This was like later into the career. There was one event, I think I did it in the gaming sphere, and it was a guy called Nee. He's like one of the best Tekken players in the world. I had to call out, and your champion is Nee.
Yep.
So I went to go like this to shake his hand. He didn't shake my hand. Oh, no. And I said, right, your champion's Nee. Nee, it was a pleasure. He's not going to shake my hand. He's not going to shake my hand. He's not going to shake my hand. I just kept saying that, and everybody was laughing. It went viral on TikTok in the Tekken community, and people on Instagram were saying, hey, I saw you. I said, where? He said, you're the guy that the other guy didn't shake. I said, all right, that's it. Okay. I said, let me explain. And then I said, I don't mind embarrassing myself like that. But then even Nee went up a message and he said, oh, I thought he was pointing at the trophy, but I didn't mean anything. I said, all right, we can make it comical. It's
absolutely
fun. It's 100%. Absolutely fun.
Hey, Jammerz.
Thank you.
It happened.
Big fan. But no, essentially, that's what it is. But no, it's, I would say this isn't for the faint-hearted, because
100%.
A lot of what I tend to see, you guys might see this as well with what people want to jump into presenting or content creating as well. It's at the end of the day, a lot of people get taught that, right, when I see the game or the content or the subject matter, I'm fine. But it's like, okay, how are you going to lead up to that point? You got to open a show.
Yep.
That isn't easy, right? Open the show, have good chemistry with your co-host or your talent crew, then talk about the game, keep people engaged, energy levels high, right? You got to come up with fresh ideas.
Difficult.
And it's like, right, but people go, they don't understand that part. And then it's like, how do you tell that to them without giving them too much advice and letting them figure out? Because they may develop an even better technique than you did when you were developing this. And then it's like, right, once you do that, try not to inflate your own ego, which is like the biggest and hardest thing to do. Because it's like, when you get all the praise, you're just like, yes, I'm the guy. And then when it don't,
well, the more events that you do and whatever else, and the more streams that you do, you find yourself surrounded by people saying how great you are.
Yeah.
You know, and then the real people who could potentially say, hey, and that wasn't great. Don't say it as much. Yeah. Because you're surrounded by, let's say I've hosted an event and it went great. Everyone's slapping fives and whatever else. Whereas sometimes I just want someone to say, that second segment you did could have been better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's like, and then what happens now is that improves your self-analysis and your own critique.
Yeah.
And some people go, oh, you might be too harsh yourself. No, you're not, as egotistical as it sounds like, you're not saying what I want to hear. Yeah. And it's like, okay. But then this goes back to perception is everything, where you can see the finite things and like the very specific things that like you could have improved on. Everyone else is like, great job, fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
I think that's so true. That's what I used to say to some of my, and it's completely different, but even like wanting to get better at a video game, for example, you can play with those friends that will tell you, oh yeah, great game, like you played really well. Yeah. And then you'll have those friends that will tell you the truth and be like, actually, you didn't play that good, and like, here's what you could have changed. And I often find myself like appreciating that feedback sometimes more. Yeah. Because you do start to have that like self-analysis and be like, okay, if I actually want to improve at this thing,
DIY,
here's the things I can do. So
for me, it's like I would sometimes wish I could have like a professional personal trainer, but for my
like a coach
presenting.
Or something. Yeah,
you know what? You're not the first person I've heard that from. They just bring them with them to the event, and they fully understand like what you're thinking, how you want
what your goals are,
right? And then they'll just come at you and they just it sounds like abuse, but it isn't. They're just like, listen, this was. Nah, that was
but it's like, oh, sick, that's your PB, well done, but I want you to lift this next time. You know, it's like, what? I've got to go, I just smashed that. Do you want me to? That's what you want.
It's good though, because you don't get complacent. I feel like that complacency sometimes can
do you know how easy it is to get complacent?
Of course.
It's wild.
Very.
Because
if you're getting regular work, for sure, it actually is.
Well then, because I've seen people and I've worked with people where they're like, right, I will go, dude, we could have done this a little bit better, or maybe want to try. And it's not the message, it's how you say it these days. That's a whole nother topic entirely, but it's like, you want to get straight to the point. Yep. And I've only got 2 people that will go, Jammerz, like, stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. Like, stop doing this. Go back to this. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's switch up a little bit. But then I've seen people that go, well, I keep getting calls. I keep getting the gigs. What's the problem? I'm like, damn. It's like, I get it. I understand that perspective. I'm like, you really don't think that you can do some self-improvement in this line of work? Because I'm like, I want to stay in this position I'm in. Do you want to stay here?
Yeah.
And if they're not challenged enough, they're not going to do it. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of scary, but then I understand that perspective. If everyone around you is telling, brilliant job, fantastic, keep going, and you keep getting calls, what is the problem?
Yeah. Everything dies in the comfort zone, man. That's the reality.
You might need to put down a t-shirt.
Yeah. All right, shall we? We were supposed to do our survival mode at the start of the show, but we're going to do it now.
Okay, let's do it.
We do a little segment called survival mode, which is essentially where you have to think of the last video game that you played. So, what was that video game?
Recently, just anything?
The last video game you played.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, a lot of people have been playing that actually. Now, imagine if you woke up in that game tomorrow as yourself, how would you survive? Or do you fancy your chances at surviving very well?
And we want you to talk us through it moment by moment.
If I woke up in the game tomorrow, would I survive? Well, where I am in the game now, if I woke up there, I'd have nearly 200,000 gil.
Yeah.
I'd have a lot of party members.
Okay, we're stacking.
And I'd be at the beach resort, chilling.
Oh, nice.
So I think I'd be okay, but I might splurge the money that I have in the bank account a bit
How long?
too quickly.
Would it take maybe 3 days? You think you'd
I'd probably take 2. I can be a little bit irresponsible, that kind of thing. If I had to kind of do the work that Cloud Strife did as a mercenary, I don't think I'd last that long. So I could see myself having a very luxurious week.
Yeah.
And then after that, you might see it's like, okay, game over. Start.
Game over.
I'm jealous.
I'm going to be honest with you.
That's the best one we've had so far when it comes to like making it through. You've been to Hollywood. I know that you're going to be doing, I'm sure you'll be doing plenty of events this year. I know you did Jammerz 8 last year in Riyadh.
That was such an experience.
Yeah, I was there. We might have been there similar times. I was there for R6. You were there for Street Fighter, right? Or was it 10?
You might have been there either a week before or a week after.
That's what's crazy. Like everybody's just boom, 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 like on a rotating wheel out there. But then this year, Esports World Cup seems pretty big as well, right? Do you think you'll be in and amongst it?
I would like to be, but I usually tell this to two very close friends of mine. Because some people, they kind of do the whole manifest thing. It's like, hey, you're going to be here. You're going to say, look, I try not to take my position for granted where I am now. And it's like, I know I'll have the job when I get the email.
Yeah.
And I know so many people where, as I get older, I start to see and hear what entitlement sounds like. And it's kind of upsetting a little bit. Sorry to be Debbie Downer. But it's, when I went to Hollywood, there was a little bit of controversy as to who should be there and who shouldn't be there.
Happens in all games, man.
And this is just part, and this is something I learned very, very quickly. It's just part of the work. Some people you feel should be there, not going to be there, and some people who you feel might not be there get the opportunity. It's all about who you know, how much work you put. It's various different reasons. And then before I went to Hollywood, people were like, yeah, you're going to be the cover. I said, we don't know that. And they said, no, but you deserve to be. I said, but why do you think I deserve to be there? And I said, anything you say now becomes subjective because that's completely different to what the production team or what they, and I usually say to people, it's like, look, you might objectively think that myself, you, or you might be suitable for a job, but you might not fit someone's vision. No matter how good you are, you might not fit someone's vision. Don't take it personal because do not bring personal feelings into business. I learned that really quickly as well.
Yeah.
And people are like, because word's starting to loom around about the Esports World Cup, and people are like, yeah, man, you're going to be there. I said, we don't know that. I haven't got an email about it or any sort of message.
Nobody has yet, but
I don't set myself up for
sure.
disappointment.
Yeah.
It's not
important.
a good feeling.
if you're not there, you're still great.
And that's like, you just have to come real with that. And some people go, yeah, you're going to be there. Because I remember, so a week before Jammerz 8 last year was EVO. That's the biggest fighting game tournament like we have every year. And the lineup came out and my name wasn't there. And somebody rang me and said, Jammerz, why aren't you there? Talk to the production team. They're making a mistake. I said, relax, like calm down. He said, no, you deserve to be. I said, on whose accord? And I said, you seem more upset about this than I am. But little did he know, I was going to Riyadh the next week.
Yeah.
So then when they announced Jammerz 8 he rang me again. He said, oh. And I said, you need to calm down when people do get jobs or don't get jobs.
Well, that's one of the biggest toxic parts of esports, I think, is when certain names don't make the cut and every man, woman and dog jumps on the comments saying, where's this person, where's that person?
Some of it I do feel is justified. I do understand that. But then other times it's like, look, because some people go, you were just at Capcom Cup Jammerz. Why were you not at the Kumite? I might not be part of that guy's vision.
Yeah, but also, you can't do everything, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't want to do everything. I can't believe I said that on camera.
But I do think it's cool. I do think it's cool that, you know, every summer now it looks like there's going to be a big spotlight shone on lots of different games,
like
week to week.
Like you said, I would like to be there. If I get the call, I'm sure people know about it. If I don't get the call, all right, like 10 minutes of, okay, I didn't get it, but let's move on. It's like, right, how do we get there next year? Because I always ask myself two questions. If I'm at an event, and I've done this in Hollywood, I'll sit down right before one of my shifts and I'll go, why am I here? I just need to remind myself, why am I here? Is it because I knew the right person? Did I put in the right amount of work? Why do you think you're here? And if you're not there and you're watching at home, you go, right, how do we get there next time? Do I need to speak to the right person? Do I need to put in a little bit more work in this area? So on and so, like, people aren't asking themselves the right questions to kind of stay. And it's like, sometimes you just need to humble yourself. It's just so difficult to do that. So go back to your answer, sorry. It's like, I do want to be there. If they announce Street Fighter, we don't know if I'm going to be there unless I get an email.
Well,
have they announced like what? Do the people know what kind of games are going to be?
Rocket League's going to be there. Overwatch.
Siege is going to be there.
Siege is going to be there. So I think they have like a big line up for certain things as well. Because even when I heard from last year when they said I think they were making a plan to come back, they had like big plans, and it's like, okay, everyone wants to be part of that.
Right.
And look, you've seen the treatment we got out there. That was like insane. The hotel, I don't know if you've seen any of it. Right. So I might show you a video afterwards. They bought out like half a restaurant for us.
My God.
And it was a buffet, full on catering every week. We had some of the talent. So they love red velvet cake. They had some of the talent run and get the red velvet cake. And when it ran out, they'd stand outside the chef's doors and they'd knock on the door. And it's like, yo, you got any more? The chef's like, no, it's done for the night. And it's like the treatment we got out there and then allowing us to perform and do our job was insane.
Well,
I really love that stuff.
We know that you want to be back at the Esports World Cup mainly for the red velvet cake now. So
Yeah.
that's good to know.
If there's an opportunity.
As we wrap this up, where can we find you going forward? Let our audience know.
What's
you're
your
listening.
handles?
Where can we check you out?
So you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever Elon Musk calls it these days, at HG Jammerz. I do have an Instagram, which you can type in at HG Jammerz as well. I do stream. I am really inconsistent with it right now, but I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent because I want to stream because I want to stream, not because you want to watch me stream. There's a difference. So you can type in twitch.tv/HG Jammerz. And no, that's it.
That's it. All right.
Perfect. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. And don't forget, if you enjoyed, to give us a 5-star rating and go and check this guy out.
Thanks, Jammerz.
We'll see you
Check
in the
these
next
guys out as well.
Bye.